Hey guys, I'm Casey, and this is Click with Casey. And in the exit interview series, I am sitting down with people to find out why they left their jobs. Was it by choice? Were they forced out? Was it a mix of both? I want to know, what did they learn, if anything? And what would they do differently, if anything, if they could go back and try it all over again? So grab a coffee and settle in, because this next story just might change the way you see your own. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm so excited for our next guest, Erin Kerner. You have had a very fun and interesting life in your young years here. So I think our listeners are going to have a lot of fun just hearing about your stories and learning from some of your experiences. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is incredible. So I can't wait to just chat with you.
Yes. So, well, let's just jump right in to it. Earlier, I was thinking about all of the jobs that I've had, because I think a lot of the times when we ask, like, well, like, where have you worked? And we immediately jump to like career.
Yep.
But there's so much before that that kind of helps start to shape us and stuff. So I wanted to start with sort of like the youngs, that like, what were your real first jobs? Like, what kinds of things have you done?
First job, I would have to say would be my high school job, where I worked at Finish Line in the Mill Creek Mall as just a salesperson on the floor, selling people sneakers and sports attire.
Nice.
I thought it was the coolest thing in the world because I was an athlete. I played basketball, and like, what cooler place to work than a sneaker store? So I was really in it for the discount.
I was just going to say, you got a discount, right?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 30%, which was amazing. I still had no money back then. I think I was getting paid like $6 an hour.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure what that was even buying me. Maybe enough money to get gas, to go to work, and then hopefully I have something left over. But it was such a fun experience. The people that worked there were like all my age, all in high school. So we had the best time. It was so fun. But that was my first kind of tippy toe into retail, which I guess maybe a little foreshadowing into my career later in life. But that was my first job.
Very nice. So when you think about, okay, so your very first job, you're in high school and you're working at Finish Line. So you're in retail.
Yes.
Now, kind of do like a highlight reel of boom, 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 boom. So what types of jobs / industries or whatever have you been in from Finish Line until now?
Okay. So also my second retail job, I was also in high school. I picked up a second job right before I left to go to college, which was stupid because I was leaving for college. I also worked at Express in the mall. Because I love that for us. Also because I was starting to like get into fashion and just wanted to like look cute. And I was like, well, Express is the best place in the mall to do that. So I should definitely work there. I think I maybe worked 2 shifts before I went to college.
That's funny.
And I don't even think I like resigned. I think I just never showed up again, which embarrassing. Sorry, Express.
That's a funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I actually have similar experience. Okay, wait.
Have we both ghosted Express?
A little bit. I have my own very quick Express story. I was in grad school when I worked at Express, and it was in DC. And why I got a job when I was in grad school, like, it's so stressful,
right?
But I did. And the boss was such a brat. She was like mean, and I'm like, and I was like older than her, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? I have more important things to do than to listen. She's like, you really need to stay at the front, because I was the greeter.
Oh, wow.
And like, somebody asked me a question, I was showing them to the jeans table, and she
Which
came
is
up,
great customer service, by the way.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And she came up and she's like, you keep leaving your post, whatever. Like, you need to stay up here. And I'm like, yeah. And I mean, in my mind, I said that, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, I don't like working here. And then I, like, after my shift, I left and I called them and I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Never to return.
And I never returned. Sorry, Express. Okay.
Exactly.
Anyway, back on track here. So, okay. So,
yes.
Finish Line Express
college, and I didn't have any jobs during college, so I played Division I basketball on a full scholarship, so that was my job.
Yes.
That was 3 to 5 hours a day plus school and classes and studying and all of that, so there was really no opportunity to work. I didn't even have any internships in college because I was at my university in the summer training, lifting, taking classes, all the things.
It really was a full-time job.
It really was. So
where did you go to college?
Quinnipiac University in Connecticut.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. Okay.
Yes. But again, great experience there. I was an international business major. I stayed for a 5th year because that was part of my package scholarship deal. They were going to pay for my master's. And then,
Sweet.
Right? And I sacrificed my body for it.
Incredible basketball player.
I was okay back in the day. Definitely a retired athlete now. It feels like a whole lifetime ago. But yeah, so I got my master's paid for also, which was amazing. And while I was doing that, I was coaching high school basketball at like a private school in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And one of the girls' fathers wanted me to coach their team in the summer, but I was like, oh, I can't. Like, now I really need to start looking for a job. And he was like, well, hey, like, I'm the president of this company, send me your resume. And of course, there was nothing on my resume at the time. Literally, like, it was like my basketball honors.
Finish line.
And yes, and like I have an international business degree, but with no work experience, and this master's with no work experience.
Yeah.
But like, hire me.
Yeah.
And he did just that, because then I coached his daughter's basketball team over the summer.
Well, that was a win-win.
It was a win-win. It was great. So I had started kind of working for him while I was like at the last semester of my master's, and they had an office in Connecticut. So I was, starting to work on a consultant basis there. And then when I, finished my master's, their headquarters was in Secaucus, New Jersey, which is literally one train stop outside of Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
And so that's how I got to New York. I moved there, and that was my first job out of college. I was a financial analyst. They were like a private holding company that managed all these like real estate type companies, like, up Kohl's by the mall, like all the landscaping and snow blowing that has to be done. They managed the companies that held those contracts.
Got it.
Yeah. So like not a sexy industry by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And I didn't love math or numbers, and somehow I wound up as a financial analyst
I
there.
was going to say, how did you get there? Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was cool. It got me to New York City. So I decided to move to New York City instead of moving to Secaucus, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I reverse commuted for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I made that big leap from small-time Erie girl to Connecticut to New York, which was always a dream.
Okay, so reverse, what did you say?
Reverse commute.
So was it easier because everybody was coming in your
1,000%.
Yeah, okay.
It was cake. I loved
Yeah,
it.
nice.
Yeah. It was still like an hour door to door.
Right.
But again, it was really easy going through Penn Station every morning. And then New Jersey Transit, one stop. And then I caught a bus from New Jersey Transit to the office, which again, it was easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how long were you at that job before you ended up going to your next?
I was there 2.5 years, and the company was basically going bankrupt. So I got laid off.
Okay.
And in the moment you're like, oh my God, like I'm getting laid off in my first job ever. Like, what am I going to do? In hindsight, it was probably the best thing to ever happen to me. So I took basically 3 months off because I had unemployment. So I was like, okay, I'd never applied to a job before. Like other than this,
Right.
like
You were basically scouted by everyone up until that point.
precisely.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't even know how to do this. Like, so, I started looking online, was Indeed a thing back then? I can't even remember, but there were some job postings online, and I just started applying to everything. I was getting like no callbacks, no nothing. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But luckily, and one of the biggest things I always tell people is like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that has rung true, I think, in almost every aspect of my career so far. But my friend's best friend, not my cousin's best friend, was the CFO at a high fashion company, one of the biggest in the world. And at the time, like the Devil Wears Prada had just came out, and that was like my absolute favorite move. And I was like, I need to work in fashion. I need to.
Yes.
And so I had told my cousin, I was like, hey, like, I know you know this person. I would love to get my foot in the door. Like, are they hiring? Are they looking for anybody? And thankfully they were.
Wow.
And so I sent my now updated resume with some work experience on it. And I went through 3 rounds of interviews at this particular company, and then actually did not get the job because they said I had no retail experience, which was, of course, true.
I beg to differ. You worked at Finish Line and Express.
You know what? This is true. No corporate retail experience.
Fair enough.
No
fair
number
enough.
crunching in retail. No retail math. So what I did is I offered to work for free.
No way.
Yeah. And I don't know why I thought I could do that, because I had these New York City bills.
Right.
But I thought it would get my foot in the door, and they agreed, and I did it.
For how long?
I did it for free for 3 months.
Okay.
And then because they still needed support but didn't have room for like a full-time role, they hired me as a consultant. So I started making money. And what was great is they introduced me to a headhunter. And I had no clue, like the concept of what is a headhunter. I had no idea. And so basically they connected me. I gave them my resume, and like these people just searched for jobs for me. And it was fantastic. And so I got connected to another international high fashion company, and then worked there for a full-time role. And then that was my like first toxic environment experience.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even have HR at this company.
Wow. And you just said this is one of like, this is a world wide and they don't have HR.
Yes.
So can we dig into this a little?
Absolutely.
Okay. So why was it toxic?
It was my direct boss who, it was toxic. And I think when you have a toxic leader, it then creates a culture of toxicity.
Yeah.
He was international and was very much of the opinion women shouldn't have opinions.
Yeah.
And
oh man,
yes, I think anybody who knows me knows I'm a very direct person. I certainly have an opinion and I'm not afraid to share it.
Yeah.
And I think when you're dealing with management, you always want to be respectful, of course.
Sure.
But I think some leaders don't want to hear feedback or don't want to acknowledge when maybe things aren't going as they should. Maybe they don't know something that they're trying to like lead the team on. And so it just became kind of like a little bit of a combative situation. And of course, when that other person is in the position of power, like they're in control and then they decide what goes. And at some point you just don't want to go to work anymore.
Yeah.
And so I started immediately looking for a new job. That was like 6 months into that role.
Okay.
Where I was like, I've got to get out of here. Like it was to a point where, when your stomach turns when you don't want to do something.
Yes.
It's like that physical feeling of like,
yes.
oh my God.
Or like that Sunday night dread.
Yes.
Like, oh my God.
Yes.
Another week.
Sunday scaries.
Yes.
It was Sunday scaries every week, first like 6 months. And so I had actually reached back out to my boss at my previous company and just kind of like let her know that, things weren't going well, like and gave her the situation. She was like, oh, you've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And thankfully she was about to leave the place that we had worked together and was going to a different fashion organization. And she asked if I wanted to come with her. And I said, absolutely. So once she got there and got settled, I followed her there. And then had a great experience there. It was a smaller fashion house that was just starting to grow their U.S. operation. So the team was like maybe 8 people in the office. So it felt very mom and pops, but it was still like this international fashion house.
Right.
And, it was great. It was just a bunch of people that were working hard and, going through growing pains of building a smaller business into a bigger business. And that comes with more process and formality. And so I think it was uncomfortable for a lot of people. But I had a great experience and I loved working for this particular boss. She was such a powerhouse and, taught me a lot about, the importance of detail and making sure things are perfect. And, she was a woman of color. So it was a perfect example for me to look up to and something to aspire to. So like, this is what your life could look like. These are the heights you could reach. And I think it's always important that you can see yourself in what you want to become and, seeing that in a real person every day for, I think it was almost a year that I was there before she left. It was impactful. I think that helped me really believe that I could be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so important for all of us to have at some point. And I'm sure you experienced some incredible role models and leaderships just as an athlete too, right? But to be able to have that in this new space, in this scary world, like real world, that's so powerful. So I want to do a little comparing and contrasting. So let's think of the fella and then the powerhouse.
Yep.
I'm interested in, I kind of want to like peel these layers back.
Yeah.
And like, what are the things that made her so great? And what are the things that made him so bad? And see like where there's overlap and where there's not. And I'm just interested in.
For sure. I think for her, she knew her craft inside and out. She was one of the smartest people I've ever worked with, and she was just on point at all times. Like if anybody had a question, she knew like there was nothing about what she was doing that she wasn't an expert in. Whereas him, I think he had some great baseline knowledge, but I would never classify him as an expert. And they were almost doing the same thing.
Got it.
And so for you not to be an expert, so I'd worked for her once before that I worked for him, and to work under somebody who has such an ownership of their craft versus somebody who doesn't, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how am I supposed to take direction and leadership from you when I know that you're not doing things the right way?
Yeah.
And I, as somebody who, again, just wanted the team to perform well, I wanted my life to be easier. I was like, here's some helpful hints because this is how we used to do it over here, and it worked really well. And like, I'm just trying to like suggest things that maybe would make our processes less clunky. And because we were working a lot of long hours, we were coming in on weekends, and it didn't have to be that way if we just kind of changed our processes. And he was not open to that. And so I think when you have a leader who is like, no, I know it all, and even if they don't know it all, they won't admit like or ask for help.
Right. There's like no humility. There's no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, she didn't need help. She didn't have to ask for help because she was such, again, a master of her craft, and this person was not. So I think that just created a difficult situation. Like I couldn't learn from him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're going to stick here for a while because I have all sorts of questions that are coming to my mind. But so I'm interested in the fact that the woman was very clearly an expert master of her craft, and he was not so much. But I also think that, like, I think that leaders, if you're a very good leader, you don't necessarily have to know the craft.
Yeah.
You let the people who know what they're doing do it, and you are there to be the leader, right?
But you have to be self-aware enough to let them do that.
Exactly. Yes. So I'm curious, since she was a subject matter expert and she was the master of her craft and all those things, how did she make you and the rest of your team feel valued and important and seen, since she knew all the things? So was it like you were just her little minions, or was she finding a way to still connect and make you feel valued and important?
Yeah, I think she was a great leader who, when you did something well, was happy to, praise you in front of the team, lift you up, make you feel like, okay, like great job. She certainly wasn't like a rah. There are some bosses that are just like praise. And sometimes it feels fake and it's not real. But I think when you did get acknowledgement from her, you felt really amazing about it, because like she wasn't dishing out compliments all the time. So when you did get that compliment, maybe once a quarter or once every other month, it was like, okay, I must have really done a great job if she's complimenting me.
It meant more. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like I'm not one of those people who like needs to be praised every single day. It's just like I want praise from the right people for the right thing versus
in the right way.
In the right way.
Right.
Yeah.
Did the guy, did he ever give any sort of accolades or praise? Was he just kind of a jerk all the time?
He was kind of a jerk all the time, but what he would do is he would buy us snacks and think that would like, be the Band-Aid for whatever jerky thing he had said, 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
And we'd be like, all right. Mind you, like we're in our early 20s. It's
Right.
like, ooh, snacks, yay.
Yes.
When it's like, actually, no. If we had an HR department, we should probably be reporting you to that HR department. So, yeah.
So when you left the job with him, I'm assuming you resigned.
Yes.
So how did that conversation go?
Oh, I was never happier to slide a piece of paper across the desk and be like, oh, so sorry. I've got to go.
Yeah. Did you request a meeting and sit down and talk to them?
Yes. I was just like, hi, we know this hasn't been going well. And I literally just slid the piece of paper across like, I'll be exiting in 2 weeks. This is my formal notice.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Gotta go.
And what did he say?
You know what? I think it's one of those things where like, because we weren't getting along, it's like, he wants you to leave. He's like, he's hoping you're going to leave.
Yeah.
So I think in his mind, it was like relief. Like, oh, I don't have to deal with this person anymore.
And I don't
who knows that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm left with the people who aren't vocal enough to challenge. And I think my life's going to be a little easier now, and I can go back to just doing whatever I do without somebody being like, actually, that's probably not the right way to do this.
Yeah, right.
So I think he was probably thrilled. I was thrilled. It was a win-win for everybody.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
And I'm assuming he never asked you for any feedback or asked you questions about your time there?
Absolutely not. No.
So if he had, what would you, if I said, like, tell me the top 3 reasons you were leaving, what would you say?
I would say your personality, and I would have found a professional way to craft that. Kind of your management style, your willingness to take feedback. And I would just say, there was zero leadership. And so I would have craved somebody to just be able to learn from, and it wasn't the case. So yeah, leadership, management style, personality,
Just not a good fit.
just not a good fit.
Not a good fit.
No.
Okay, so when you left there and then you went to the women's team, she was there for how long before she left?
She was only there for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, for a year, and then she took another job. I stayed, and I was still there because I was having a great time. It was great. I was learning. We were growing, and there was nothing kind of pushing me to want to leave. And the company that she had left to go to work for, it wasn't sexy to me. It wasn't a company that I aspired to work for. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to stay here. And then this is when LinkedIn started becoming a thing.
Okay.
And then my next opportunity came because somebody literally like cold outreach on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh, well, this is kind of a dream company.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I started working there. I went through an interview process, probably 3 or 4 rounds, got the job, was like, wow, never in a billion years did I expect this. I'd hoped to work here. Like at some point when I realized I wanted to work in fashion, I had started doing a research on all the companies that I could possibly work for. And this company was at the top of my list. So when they came knocking, I was like, oh my God,
wow.
oh my God, oh my God. So yeah, took this role, which was a newly created role for the company. So, when you get a job description, usually it's very specific. This one was like, needs to be able to deal with a high level of ambiguity. And I was like, now, knowing what I know now, I would never, ever take a job again that says you need to deal with a high level of ambiguity. At the time, I was just happy to be there. And whatever this entailed, I was in for the ride.
Yeah. You're like, I'm all in.
Absolutely. So, then we started, and this was another role where, I had a great female leader, somebody to look up to who was amazing. Again, another master of her craft, coupled with amazing leadership and really knew how to support her teams and make people feel valued, and really kind of a trailblazer and a game changer in her own right. It had a great experience for a really long time at this place, and things change and evolve, and you get different roles and have different bosses and different leaders, and you go into a situation thinking one thing, and then you stay there long enough, it evolves into something different. And yeah, I don't know how much detail we want to go into. But.
So, well, I want to know, what did the ambiguity turn into? What did that end up meaning?
It was actually a really amazing role because it was so ambiguous. I got to interact with almost every single department in the company.
Okay.
Because the position that my boss had oversight over all of these different departments. So I got to learn kind of every aspect of the business almost inside and out, which I had never expected coming into the role. And I made a ton of great relationships. It allowed me to interact with people far superior when it comes to the seniority level that again, at the level that I entered at, I would have never expected to have day-to-day interactions with. So I learned a lot really fast. We worked a lot of really long hours. It was a really highly visible role. I got to meet a lot of international executives that people would kill to meet. And I felt really, really lucky to be in this role. And again, coming in with the ambiguity of it all and what it evolved into, I could have never hoped for, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long were you there?
Almost 8 years.
Okay.
Yep.
So what made you leave there?
I think the role that I had last, it was an incredible role on paper. It was amazing. It was like kind of just what I wanted at the time when I took it. It was a very physical role. It was in events. So I was traveling probably 75% of the time. I wasn't home a lot, which didn't allow for a lot of personal life time. Which again, when it first started, it was amazing because I love to travel. I love to just like kind of hop around and not be in one place for a long time. But I think after a while, it wears on you.
Sure.
And I think there were a lot of like really intense expectations all the time, and it became harder and harder to meet those. And it was just like I found myself unhappy. I've never been a person who was unhappy, and I always said it would take like the perfect storm of things to make me leave this amazing place that I was at. And those perfect storm of things happened, and I just said, you know what, I need to like leave this. I need to go. And I just need to take a break, and I need to like not do anything for a year and get my sanity and my peace back, which again sounds so cliche. I never in a billion years thought I would be one of those people who's like, oh no, like, oh, I need to take self-care. I need to do whatever. I thought I would be like the girl who's climbing that corporate ladder till she's CEO of something. And love New York, which I still love New York, but New York is a really tough place to be when you don't feel happy and you don't feel things are going as you want them to go. It feels like the walls are closing in a little bit. And I just got to a point where I was like, I don't love this anymore. I'm not enjoying it. And that's a tough thing to feel for an extended period of time. So I was just like, something's got to give.
Definitely.
And so I left and did take a year off, moved back to Erie, Pennsylvania, here, my hometown.
Yeah.
Bought a fixer-upper and literally spent a year working that and getting my happiness back. And, yeah.
Is it back?
It's back. Good. It is back.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So I had a different question, but I want to kind of hop onto this quickly because, like, is it cliche? Okay. Yes. And also true. Right? And I think that especially, so if you're a really ambitious person, and I don't care your gender, but let's just say you're a really ambitious woman, right? Because it feels like we have to work a little bit harder and a little bit longer and a little bit whatever, while also looking beautiful and being sweet, all of the things, right? So there's, it depletes you over time. Absolutely. If you don't have the certain like guardrails in place. But when were we ever taught how to do that?
We weren't.
Because we didn't have a lot of role models ahead of us doing those things to learn from, to show. Right. So like then we're going through the grind and then figuring it out. And it's like, and I think that's why it became this cliche. It's because we are suddenly kind of like, whoa, wait, this isn't sustainable. We need to like figure this out.
And it's like, who would you go to for advice on these things? For like us, we were working super long hours, 8, 9 o'clock, depending on what season it was, could be 10, 11 o'clock. We were working weekends, events. Both my parents were like 9 to 5ers. Like dinner was on the table by 6. So, my mom was always like, you're eating dinner at 9 o'clock. Like, why are you doing it? Well, I'm still in the office. Like I haven't had a chance to go home and cook anything yet. And so it would be hard to ask them for advice because they haven't experienced it. And they're like, well, just go home. And I'm like, well, no, it doesn't exactly work that way. If I want to keep climbing, I've got to do all the things. And doing all the things is putting in the time, and it's eating every meal at your desk at work, and it's being gone on the weekends. And as much as you want to build in like your self-care time, like I just need to sleep and to recharge my battery.
Like that is the self-care. Is just being able to sleep.
And sometimes there's not enough of that. So then what do you do? So then like you're feeling crappy all day. You get to sleep for only a few hours, and then you got to do it all again and feel crappy all again. And it's just this groundhog day of not feeling great until you get to a point it's like, can't do this anymore.
The autopilot just isn't working anymore. Okay, so this is just I just find that to be so relatable in any level, in any industry. Like there is that very real thing that happens or moment where, because here's the other thing too, and I don't know if this is because, I don't know, I'm old school or whatever. I do think people need to pay their dues. I do think you need to put in the work. I don't think you should be able to walk in here and just get whatever job you want. Like, no, we all had to do it. You do it too.
Totally.
But the thing that I will say, the younger generation is much more aware of now because they're seeing it is how do we put the guardrails up so that we can pay our dues, but also take care of ourselves. And I personally, like, I value that so deeply, but I also struggle to wrap my brain around, like, I'm sorry, you just gave me a boundary.
It's like we suffered so you could have these boundaries. Basically.
Right.
It's like, well, but I had to suffer. Wait, you've got to suffer too. But but no, they shouldn't have to because we should have never had to, and that's the problem.
Right. And and it's like a whole different way to like look at things and rewire the brain, all the things. So just really interesting. Okay, so. Don't tell me who. Think about the worst leader you ever had. And tell me why. Or maybe not leader specifically. Let's make it a little.
I'll generalize it.
Let's be more like global. Like what or it could be job. It doesn't even have to be that. But if we think about the most impactful experiences you've had from what shouldn't be done, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
A very clumsy way of saying it.
Yeah.
What would those look like? What are those things?
And I've had a few of these bosses, like similar to the story earlier about the boss who like didn't have ownership of the thing he was supposed to be leading. I've had a few of those along the way. And I think the difference between the good ones and the bad ones is, again, that humility, that self-awareness. Because to your point, yes, you can not be a master of whatever department you're leading. You may not know every single aspect of it. That's fine. But when you've got a team who are experts or do have at least more knowledge than you or have been doing it and can provide the examples of like how things should be done, I think it's the leader's responsibility to let the team, you know, do what they do.
Yeah,
and shine and not micromanage or not try to insert their view, their uninformed view on what the team should do. I think anytime I've had a bad experience, it's been because a leader didn't know what they were doing. They weren't self-aware enough to just take direction from the team. Again, always respectfully, but it was like this. It's like, no, I'm running things.
Like a power.
It was a power dynamic. I'm running things, asterisk, even though I don't know what I'm doing. So we're going to do it my way, which again, just kind of discredits them amongst the whole team, because the whole team knows is that the elephant in the room is that the whole team knows you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So by you not being self-aware and letting the team just kind of do their thing and you learn along the way,
Right.
It has the opposite effect. Like nobody respects you because they know you're not an expert.
Right. Like let the team make you look good.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Why are you fighting? Yeah.
Because I have also had leaders who didn't know what they were doing, but they did let us lead, and we ended up either making them look great or like they made themselves look bad enough so they were exited themselves.
Sure.
But I've always found in situations where leaders are open to letting their team shine and do their best, like those are the best situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also, like if you're leading a team that works really, really hard, don't micromanage their breaks. We had at various companies, we had a lot of that where it's like, again, we're eating our lunch at our desk, lunch, dinner, every snack in between, like we are glued to a desk 24/7. And if we step out for like one leisurely lunch, which by leisurely, I mean, you take the actual hour that you're entitled to, don't tell them that they can't do that. And I had a few situations where it was like, we would get into arguments about me actually taking the lunch that I'm owed as a human being.
Yeah. Right.
And it's just like, how do you expect people to respect you when you don't let them have freedoms to live and take breathers away from the work? That can be really challenging.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. It's actually crazy. Like as a grown adult, you have to be like, oh wait, can I go have an hour for lunch?
Yeah.
Like, no,
And
no, you can't.
Right. Well, and I've had experiences where I'm glued to my desk eating all of my meals at the desk, but I would have a leader say, Casey, you need to go take a break. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I have to finish this thing, get it off my mind. And so good leader first for
Great leader.
Supporting that, noticing it, supporting it.
Yeah.
And then, I was just like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. But that's your choice to do that.
That is my choice.
I think when the choice is taken away, that's when the issues arise.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, legal issues.
1000%.
Like that's not, right. Okay. Okay. So interesting. So have you ever, at any of these positions, ever had a formal exit interview?
Yes. I have had one. And again, I'm brutally honest in these because again, I'm gone. I have nothing to lose. I probably won't be going back anytime soon or ever.
Yeah.
So I give brutal honest feedback, and it's not, I think anytime you leave a company, like if you're leaving bitter, like sometimes they'll take your exit interview with a grain of salt because it's like, oh, that person wasn't happy, or we didn't want her anyways, or whatever. And I think they can downplay it, but in any exit interview I've had, I've tried to just be brutally honest, but honest in a way that's like constructive. That I always frame it from the point of like, well, people I care about are still there and, under whatever leadership, and they're still functioning in this company. Here's how I know based on
better for them.
Yeah, based on what they've said, what I experienced. Here's how we could elevate this experience for people. And I never know what happens with that information because you're gone and you don't know. But I think I think exit interviews should be mandatory. Like they're so telling.
They're so important, right?
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this then. Are you more likely to be honest with the company doing the exit interview or with a third party they have come in to do their exit interviews?
You know, I'm comfortable either way. I think where I never get comfortable sharing feedback is like while I'm still in a company and I don't want to exit and say I'm having issues, I would never go to HR. I would never. That's why I think it is so important to have exit interviews, because that's when people can really be honest.
Yeah.
Because when you go to HR, when you're still in a role, again, HR, as much as everyone tries to say like, you know, HR is here for you. Like, you know, we care about the employees, and I'm sure many do. So I'm not saying they don't, but their ultimate responsibility is to protect the company. And it's like, how can we frame these situations in a way that like there's no legal liability for the company, or there's no, as much as the employee is important, the company is more important. And so when you share feedback with HR while you're still there, I'm not sure it's as highly regarded as when you exit and can be honest, because the levels of honesty are different in these scenarios. So
well, and I mean, have you ever thought about if you were to go to HR, then you almost are putting a target on your back of like, oh, she's the problem child now, or
because what happens when you go to HR is, and I've only gone to HR maybe once or twice in my whole career, and both times it was like, oh, no, shouldn't have done that. Because then what happens is then they try to pick you as the employee apart. It's okay, well, she's saying this, but like, okay, well, what has she done to maybe like, or like, well, here's all the things she did wrong. So she's saying this, but like, maybe she's, they try to discredit. And because they're protecting whoever's higher up in the company at all times. At least that's been my experience. It's like somebody higher up was, you know, a jerk, like a super jerk to me in one position at one instance. And when we were going back and forth, I said, well, how would you like it if I treated you the way you treat me? And so then that person went to HR and said basically like, well, Erin was disrespectful to me. Well, no, I just asked you, if I treated you like you treated me, would you be okay with that? Why is that a problem? And then HR was like, well, you need to go apologize for saying that. And it's like, and again, maybe I misinterpreted that situation. That's just like one example, but I hate to say I don't trust the HRs of the world. I haven't had the best experiences with them.
Well, and I think well, I guess this is me. Honestly, I feel like it's like rose-colored glasses, right? So like to me, I do think of HR as they're supposed to be like the advocates for the people, and the people that I know who are in HR, I have had good experiences with people who genuinely care. I have also had experiences with horrible, like tyrant, like ripped the team apart. It was awful, and I'm so glad that person had to leave, because everything's been fine before she got there. And she's just horrible and left. But I have luckily had good experiences with HR. It's the emotional intelligence, right, that has to come in when you're in that role, though, because like, yes, of course you are hired by these people to do a certain job, and you're advocates for the employees as well. And there are bad employees all over the place, right? We have all sorts of reasons why people need to be protected, because these people are going to do the things to try to get them in trouble and whatever, right? So like there's things in place, and I completely understand that. But in general, like the feeling I got when you just told me the HR person told you to go apologize, I was so grossed out right away. Like that's so gross. And I don't know if to me there was like this feminism thing that came up into my mind, like, or I don't know, you know, or if it's like, so because you're confident in speaking to another adult, then you know, I can read my own things into it, and I can feel a certain way because of my own experiences and my own lens, right? But that, what?
And also, you just never know, like, again, the root and the cause of why people would ask me to apologize, for example. Like, we're all humans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We all have our own biases. We all have our own experiences with different people. And you never know what experiences somebody else has had that's impacting what they're telling you.
Yes.
Or, whatever that person I had the, incident with, how she described it to the person. And it's just like, it's so subjective with HR sometimes, and just in life and in dealing with leadership and teams. There's no right and wrong way for everything, and it's all subject to interpretation.
It is.
And that can just make things be super gray instead of black and white.
For sure.
What could have been like a little simple situation now escalates into something bigger because of XYZ reasons.
So I'm going to ask you a question that I was not preparing to ask you, nor do you know this was coming. But now I'm interested because I didn't expect to go into the HR space. But from your experience, like you have worked for large, high profile corporations. Some of them apparently didn't have HR, which is weird.
Wild,
okay.
Right? Yeah.
So coming from that background and from that perspective, what would you say, like if you had a room of HR people in front of you right now and you want to be like, do it better, be better.
Yeah.
What are the things, like what are the takeaways from your experiences that you would be like, if you would want me to trust you, if you would want me and my colleagues to feel like we had the space to do the things we need to do, what would they need to do to make that happen?
I would say challenge management with the same accountability that you challenge your employees to have. As long as everybody's being told that they need to apologize or work on themselves or whatever, I think that is a winning combination. I think when you're putting too much onus on the employee to change again, case by case, like
Absolutely.
Again, there are terrible employees, there are terrible leaders.
Yes.
But
I mean, for sure.
Yeah, but in general, I think just making sure that, if there are opportunities with the leadership, that you're really holding them accountable and you are, requiring them to intrinsically look at themselves and say okay, how did your behavior contribute versus okay, what the employee is saying, and really look at themselves. I think a lot of times maybe management isn't held as accountable as employees are.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. And that really does something to your mindset as an employee.
Oh, sure.
It's like, it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah.
They're not going to believe me, whatever the case may be. But that definitely doesn't set you up to be giving your best.
For sure. And I think that it ultimately leads to a lot of employees leaving companies because they feel like they can't go to HR instead of maybe going to HR, having a productive conversation with their boss or with the team or whoever their conflict is with. They're just like, HR's not going to do anything anyway, so I'm just going to look for another job and leave. Yeah. I think if there were more honest conversations in HR, and again, at some companies, I'm sure there are, and I'm sure HR is amazing.
Yeah.
But I've been at too many companies where the whole dynamic with HR isn't great, and people don't trust it. And then instead of, again, sharing what could be a bunch of minor issues that could be corrected, they're just like, I'm going to leave. It's not worth my time.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, which is such a shame because it's usually, a lot of times, it's the high functioning, high productive, highly all the things who get burnout.
Yeah.
Not even just physically or emotionally burnout, but just they get burnt out by the that ick, that feeling of just the
ick is so real. The ick is so real.
Yeah.
Once a company gives you that ick, there's no going back.
You've
got to go.
Right.
You've got to go.
Right.
That has happened at any time I've left, really left a company, it's because there's been a big ick. Other than the opportunities where somebody job of a lifetime just falls into your lap.
Right.
But if it was because I wanted to go, there was always a major ick happened that was ugh. Can't stay here anymore.
Okay, so let's go with that then. If any of the places that you left because of the ick, any of those places, what would it take for any of them for you to have gone back if they had asked?
Oh, I mean, for most of them, new leadership. And sadly, that's what the thing is. People don't leave companies. They leave people. They leave leaders.
Right.
because again, I think I stayed at some of the companies so long because of the company, because of the aura, because of everything that came with it. And then
The culture.
the
is what-
culture.
yeah.
And, you know, cultures evolve. Like sometimes you're at a company and the culture is really incredible. And then like a few leadership changes here, a few leadership changes there. And like the next thing you know, you blink and it's like a totally different company.
Yeah.
And like, this is not where I signed up to work. And this is not the place that I loved. And, you know, you just have to make a decision for yourself. It's like, well, do I hang on to what used to be? Or do I just go find out now what's actually best for me? And I feel like every time I left somewhere, I was leaving to find what was best for me.
Yeah.
Versus hanging on to whatever great memories I had at said company.
Yeah. So the biggest ick then was the leader. It wasn't the work. It wasn't the hours. I mean, those were grueling
Those
and
were
hard.
contributing factors.
But that's not why you left. You ultimately left because of the leaders.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Usually. Which again, you know, it's hard because, you know, with super senior management, it's like you hire somebody, they interview really well, and you know, they manage up. Anytime you visit their department or you stop by, it's like, hey, everything's great, everything's fine, and the team looks happy, they love me, I love them, we're all super happy. And then the minute executive management leaves, it's like back to normal. Everybody hates this person, everybody hates this person. And like, you know, with all that managing up, which, you know, has to happen, that's just human nature. You're always going to manage up when your bosses are around. But, you know, if nobody's actively hearing feedback of the teams, that's just how kind of you create discourse. And everyone's like, well, if I can't stand this person who's in charge of our future, why would I stay here?
Right. It also feels very inauthentic.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I'm an executive leader, do I want to walk around and see everybody happy and working hard? Well, yeah.
Oh, some do.
Yeah, like I want that, but I want it to be true.
Yeah.
I want it to be real.
Yeah.
And if I come up one day and I see that people are like arguing or upset about something or whatever, I'm looking to see, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Are they working through it? How are they taking steps? What are they doing to make that happen? And that's what's impressing me at that time.
Sure.
It's not that everybody's smiling and happy.
Yeah.
It's that they're doing the work. They're doing the hard work. They're making it happen. They're, you know, that's more impressive, I think.
Yeah.
So, but fear though, I think is what keeps people from being authentic.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't get to have a bad day.
No.
And you need this job. You need to pay your bills.
1,000%.
So
1,000%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun times.
Fun times. So now this is my last big question.
Yeah.
So you, and like dig back into leadership, family, not leadership, I'm sorry, your basketball career, family, whatever, because I know you come from a very strong family as well. So thinking of all of the role models and leaders you've had in your life, what are the biggest, like, this matters so much to me and this is something I try to live by because of this thing?
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, that's hard because there are so many. I feel like, again, between my family, between coaches, even leaders I've had as a career, in my career, I've taken so many things from so many different people, and they all kind of form who I am today and how I like to lead. If I don't know if I can just pick one.
Don't pick one. Say all the things.
Yeah.
What are the things that have built Erin?
Yeah. I think authenticity, which almost to a fault sometimes. I come up from a family of very strong women who have their opinions. They're not afraid to share it. Sometimes our tone is not the best, but we're never saying things that aren't fact. It's like, it's not, and I think I've taken a lot of that. It's like, I will tell you the God's honest truth. You may not like the way it comes out of my mouth, or you may not like it because, you know,
you don't want to hear
penetrating.
it.
It's piercing your soul. But I try to do, in everything I do, just kind of be authentic and honest with people. And especially in a work setting, you have to massage that a little more, and you do have to be more mindful of feelings and how you deliver messages. And I've learned that from a few bosses, like how to put a little sugar on things instead of just being super direct. But I think honesty is super important, and truthfulness, and just keeping it real with people. I think, you know, people can build up in their own minds how good they are at something or how bad they are at something. And, you know, if anybody ever asked me, feel like it's my responsibility, my duty to be like, well, no, this is how I feel, and this is my honest opinion about it. And again, sometimes you sugarcoat that, and sometimes you deliver it direct. It depends on the person you're dealing with and what they can handle. But I think that's one thing that I really value about myself as a person, that not everybody appreciates, for sure. But I think it's a redeeming quality. I've taken my work ethic from, again, not only the women in my family, men in my family also, but having had women leaders at different points in my career who were killing it, and just, again, being masters of their craft and seeing their attention to detail, how much work they would put in, what they would sacrifice to be doing what they were doing. I've tried to inject that into my own work ethic now as I'm trying to build my own company. I think if I had not had those women leaders, I wouldn't be in a position to even feel like I could have my own company. So I feel really grateful to have worked for people like that. So yeah, work ethic and authenticity, I think, are two. And honestly, empathy. I think as I've gotten older, I think I've gotten better at becoming more self-aware, like as I expect, any leaders I have to be self-aware. But also just, leading teams, you have to be empathetic. Like, not everybody's brain works like yours. Not everybody has had the same experiences that you've had. So you've got to meet people where they are and lead them where they are, and, try to, elevate them where you can. And just show them what you've learned, and hope they pick something up and, continue to evolve and grow. But you got to remember, everybody's not you. And I think that was hard for me for a while, because I was like, well, I would do it this way, and I would get it done this fast. Why can't you?
Yes. And empathy and patience.
Yes.
I mean, those are separate. They go together, but you can be empathetic and still be like,
and I gotta admit, that was hard for me at first, because sometimes when you can't pick your team, when you have a team and that you've inherited, and you've got to try to manage them, I think that's when I've learned patience the most. Like, when I've been able to pick my team, I pick people with qualities of mine that I can see in them. I'm like, okay, this will be a person that will be an amazing person. But patience and empathy are crucial for any leader.
So what I want to highlight right now are the things that you just said are all emotional intelligence. And the reason I'm bringing this up and highlighting it is there's a lot of change and growth as far, like, from a leadership perspective of the importance of emotional intelligence. But there's certainly still a group of people out there who think that it's soft and fuzzy. And it's just the way the new kids are, and that isn't what it is. The fact is, emotional intelligence has been around and modeled for us forever. It's just we're now, like, defining it and saying what it is. So the one word you didn't use, but what you described also, was inspiring, like inspiration. You have had leaders who inspired you. You are now starting your own business. You didn't know that you could do that before. So you were inspired.
Absolutely.
Right? And then being coachable, and people being willing to invest their time, and having the patience and things like that. Having the awareness, all of that is emotional intelligence. And it isn't just a matter of I'm self-aware, they're aware. It's so much deeper than that. Like, building that trust, being authentic.
And, I feel like people have used emotional intelligence as a weakness for a long time. I think in leaders today, it is one of the most important strengths that you can have. And I think leaders without it won't find themselves as leaders very long. And in this new era that we find ourselves in,
they will be pushed out.
1000%. And I think, again, there's a time to be strict, and there's a time for, grinding and hard work and all of that. But at the end of the day, like, you've got this one life, and you shouldn't be living to work. You should be working to live. And when you're working, it shouldn't be a miserable experience, and it doesn't have to be for anybody. And I think if more leaders had emotional intelligence, we'd have a lot more experiences of people saying, like, oh my God, I do love what I do. Because people, again, people don't leave companies, they leave people. And again, I think every leader should be, like, made to take an emotional intelligence course at
agree.
some point.
And I happen to know somebody who does that.
Plug for Click Pragmatics. But no, I think it's so important, and it can make or break whether somebody stays at a company. Just a simple acknowledgement of emotional intelligence.
Agreed. And also, so this is, I'm definitely going to go on like a tangent right now, and I promise I'll bring it right back. But also, why this matters too is it's not just what we're doing at work every day,
Yeah.
it's what we're then taking home. And then it's how we're treating our family because we are exhausted and stressed out and burned out, and now we're home. And then we're not giving as much as we could be to them. And then we have a spouse or a partner and children who aren't getting the best version of you. And then they feel some sort of way about that. And then they're going to school or sports or whatever. It's just this ripple effect, right? And so it's not just a matter of being a good boss at work because people need to do their job. It's how about we just help out humanity by not sucking?
That's
Like,
the word,
let's just maybe look at people as whole humans.
Yeah.
You definitely need to show up. You definitely need to work your butt off. You definitely need to do a good job.
Yeah.
I also have a very strong work ethic. I came from really like in a good way, tough parents, and I value that deeply.
Yeah.
So I'm not okay with like, well, I just don't want to do this today. Like, no, you showed up at work, do your damn job.
Yep.
Right. And there's more to it than just that.
Yep.
So I think it's really that whole piece is this isn't just like being a good leader. It's how are you impacting the community? How are you impacting the people around you? Like it really goes further than just the job.
It's bigger than business. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think we'll all be a lot happier if we all have got some emotional intelligence in our lives.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Look at me, my little. Okay. So last question.
Yes.
What is the song that gets you out on the dance floor every time?
Ooh, so many. But Rihanna is my spirit animal. So this is what she came for. This is what you came for with Calvin Harris and her. And Rihanna, We Found Love. Like those are like my jams. And also, Sia, who's just like the most amazing, like inspirational song person ever. Bulletproof is one of my favorite.
Yes.
No, Titanium. It's called Titanium. I'm thinking of the actual
But
lyrics.
the words are bulletproof. Yes.
Like
yes.
literally, like I feel like I've got my armor on, and I can. When I listen to that song, I feel like I can do
I get
anything.
goosebumps when I hear that song. That's your hype song.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
One.
Awesome.
It's a good one.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your stories and being so open about the experience you've had. I'm sure that there are people out there who can totally vibe with the things you've said and are definitely taking something from your story.
Well, thank you for creating this podcast. I think people need to hear these stories, and hopefully, again, somebody will take something away from it. So I appreciate you for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Today's episode of Click with Casey is sponsored by NorthStar Erie LLC. When the bank says no, NorthStar Erie says, let's find a way. Whether you're buying your first home or investing in a commercial property, NorthStar Erie LLC offers creative mortgage solutions that banks just don't. Brian Potts and his team specialize in residential and commercial lending, including FHA loans for people who have credit scores in the 580s. They actually take the time to understand your goals, and they will dig to find solutions that banks just won't invest the time in doing. They're located on Peninsula Drive in Erie, Pennsylvania. So if you want to look up NorthStar Erie to help you buy smarter and with confidence, please do so and let them know Casey sent you.